everyone, and welcome back to the Decod3rs channel. Tonight we have a special guest from Tensor, and we are all going to talk about Tensor growth and how they have done the impossible, aka like becoming the first marketplace on Solana. It's gonna be nice. And thank you so much, Sting, for joining us, because I think that's the first time we talk to between each other, and I think that's the first time.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Really excited to talk more.
Nice. Hope you're doing well, and you had a great day, man.
Yeah, likewise.
Nice. And hi, VP. Hi, Alpaya. Great to have you here. So before we start the show, like pretty quickly, I would like to mention again that we have a sponsor on the channel, and you know it by now. It's Ascent. And so if you don't know them yet, you need to download the app that displaying on the screen or in the link in the description. It's basically a crypto portfolio, and you can manage all of your NFTs and crypto with it. It's awesome. They are going to mint soon, and you need to be on the app to be access to the whitelist, etc. So the best thing you can do if you are in crypto and NFT today is to download Ascent. And that's it for the sponsor segment on the channel. I love doing that. It sounds so good, man. But now, Sting, it's all about you and Tensor. And you were the guy that Ilmoy told me to talk to if I wanted to talk about Tensor on this channel. So here we are, man.
Definitely. Appreciate you having me on again. Looking forward to it and getting into the weeds about Tensor.
Yes. So, bro, I have so many questions because again, from my perspective, what you have done in the last few months, it's basically David against Goliath, and you won the fucking marketplace war. And it looks like you are fighting for the top one position, in the small, in the volume that we see right now. But you keep winning, bro. So I want to know your secret, because you are the guy in charge in growth.
Yeah, I think, look, it's been a long journey, and it's still a lot more to go, right? We're just starting to compete for that top spot. And as a startup, it's we're growing a team, we're building a company, but we're also going up against this monolith of a company that's been here for a while, right? So it's just a really unique position to be in. And I think that, the work is just getting started. This is by far not the end of it. So we just have our work cut out for us, and we're just really excited to keep pushing and hopefully just keep pushing the ecosystem forward. And we're going to keep trying things, and we're just going to keep breaking things and keep trying to find product market fit. And I think we're really excited.
Oh, I think the product market fit, I think you have it now. Success is obvious, right? So at least you are on track on finding it if it's not done yet.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, we've got some pretty hardcore users, but
exactly, and that's what you want to have at the end of the day. Okay, so let's just focus on you for a quick second. You don't want to talk, so don't tell us everything about you, but what's your background and how did you meet Ilmoy Rich or to join the team on Tensor?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been trading full time for about the past 6 or 7 years. That's pretty much been my whole career. I don't have a background in startups or growth or anything like that. So I really came on as the head of trading. More recently, I traded at one of the larger crypto prop shops. So I have a background in professional trading, retail trading. I've traded pretty much every market out there. So I've been around the markets. I think more recently, after I got back, I left the prop shop I was at in Australia because of COVID. And so when I came back to the US, we were having a lot of issues with regulation, a lot of markets not being able to trade derivatives, perps, that kind of stuff. So I was really just looking at new ways to trade and going back to my roots. And that's when I found NFTs. I was like, holy shit, this is just like altcoins. It's just like stocks. These things all trade off just emotion and hype cycles. And it was a really good fit. So I got deeper, traded the whole, Bored Apes run up on Ethereum, Sandbox run up as well. And then I found my way over to Solana just because of the cheap fees, the DeFi, all of that good stuff. And so it just felt like a natural fit of okay, if we're going to have a high growth kind of marketplace, where would that kind of be? And at the time, the main draw for me was actually Serum, was the fact that you could run an on-chain order book on top of Solana. And that was just something I was like, holy shit, you can't do this anywhere else. And then with my background, literally being in, order books and trading and getting down on that ground level, I was like, this is something special here. And so I think I just got really deep into the weeds, just tried to understand how that stuff works, why it works, all of that good stuff. And then someone had introduced me to Richard and Ilmoy, and I'm actually an investor in Tensor as well. So when they were finishing up the seed round, they're like, okay, we're going to start hiring. And I was like, well, what would happen if you guys just kept building this kick-ass product and I came on to head up growth and trading and we just, tried to
Yeah,
onboard
that's
the next
cool.
wave of traders. And yeah, that's pretty much it. 3 months later, that's where we are.
Yeah, man.
So right now we actually have a team of 5. So yeah, we've grown
Nice.
from 2 developers to 3 to 4 to 5. Yeah.
That's pretty dope, man. Yeah, yeah. So you enter by the main entrance, the trading side. That's cool.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
how NFTs market is different from traditional ones.
Yeah, I think it's different, but it's also similar in a lot of
Oh
ways,
yeah, that's
right? Like you
cool.
get a lot of the culture, you get a lot of like the movement and like the
Mm,
emotional kind of trading. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is that like at the end of the day, all the chart is telling you is just emotions of the participants on the market.
okay.
So I think like it's similar for a lot of ways, but different, I would say, is you have a lot of low cap supply, you have a
Mm,
lot of like kind of funky, like on chain kind of metrics that you have to look at. But at the end of the day, a market's a market, right? Like if you put liquidity and you create the proper tools, the two-sided things, I think that they're actually very similar.
yeah. I mean, like that's the beauty of money, right? It's kind of neutral, and like the feeling attached to it, attached to the human mind to money, it's the kind of like the same, and like it's yeah. Um, features of the humanity. So yeah, like I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you can see the same patterns.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it's less more about the
yeah,
technology side of it than it is just like human emotion and
that's
human
cool.
patterns, right? Like
Yes.
there's always auction marketplaces, there's always going to be proper liquid marketplaces.
Yeah.
And I think like we're just trying to prove that this is an asset class that you can do either with, not just the
Yeah.
auction style.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's also like drive me into crypto and finance in general. It's like again like the emotion and like the philosophy behind like green candles and red candles.
Yep,
It's fascinating. Fascinating.
100%.
Yeah, so yeah, so you get introduced by you also have like your own you are aligned with the success of the platform. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have my own
Okay.
stake in the company to make sure it's kind of succeeds and stuff. And I think that was a cool thing here too. Is like and we can probably talk about this later as well. But when Richard and Nomoy were trying to find people to kind of, fill these roles, it wasn't just, hire right out of the gate, hire whoever we can. It was
Yeah.
like they really took the time to find, these people are going to put in the amount of effort that we would ourselves and try to
Yeah.
find those next people who are worth, 5, 10 other people. So I think it's like it's been a slow growth, but I think like we're trying to keep the team pretty lean and just,
Mm.
people who are very high output, high growth, and just want to see the company do well, right? Have an actual
Yeah.
stake in the game.
No, 100%. And that's it, it's fascinating like to see how you develop like from scratch to top one, bro. So yeah, tell me exactly how do you grow a marketplace and go after like the biggest one with
Yeah, I
three
think
guys in the room?
well, I think it comes back to our users. Like at the end of the day, right? Like as
Yeah.
cliched as it is understanding what our users want and what kind of product that they want. So one of the biggest things that drew me to Tensor personally was like, okay, I'm used to trading on all these eBay style NFT marketplaces, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden I see this thing that looks like a Binance or a BitMEX or a Bybit or even an E-Trade, right? And it reminds me of like, holy shit, like these things are just another asset. So I think like targeting a higher class of traders, the professional side of traders is one thing. One thing that we realized was, the top 10% of traders do over 50% of volume in the market, right? So
Yeah.
understanding that most of the volume really is just from a handful of people, and then really understanding what they want, right? Like what their basic
That
needs
makes
are.
sense.
So I think like that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, really just being a community marketplace, right? Like we
Mm.
want to see other people win. We don't want to be closed off. So integrating other people, kind of putting other people in front, not charging for marketing, not charging to feature products, really just putting things out there that we believe are for the best, use of the system, the ecosystem, and keep pushing that boundary, right? And not even expecting anything in return, but just getting that good, the good vibes, the good kind of like
Yeah.
braces. Everybody kind of likes us now because of that, because we just tried shit and we didn't expect anything in return. So I think those two things are a big reason of why, we are where we are today.
Yeah, okay. So like compare to the competition, like having like the top to bottom strategy, like put you in the place where you are right now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And that's what we saw also with like Blur, right? Like it was the same strategy. Like they came like to on top on OpenSea because of the same freaking strategy. It's fascinating, man. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's like, a lot of these things that we do now, maybe not scale to when we have 100,000 users kind of thing, but like taking that time to get
Yeah.
on calls with our bigger users or people who just use the platform often and be like, okay, what are your pain points, right? Like me, myself, I
Yeah.
use the platform probably 4 or 5 hours a day. right? So like, I know what I see and I know what my pain points are, but someone who's just coming to our platform for the first time may not have the same experience that I do,
Yeah.
right? So just understanding that and really getting into their shoes, I think has been a massive asset for us.
And what you don't like on the platform right now?
Well, I think like some of the feedback we've gotten is that it's just too complicated, right? That like it's
Yeah.
just like information overload. And that's
Mm.
fair criticism, right? Like if you're not a professional trader and you're more of like, and this is something Magic Eden has done very well, frankly, right? Is like if you're a retail person coming to a platform for the first time and you just want to buy one NFT,
Yeah.
you don't want all these numbers, you don't want all these charts thrown in your face. Right. So I think
Mm.
that's something that we've been working on quite a bit was like revamping the light mode, making sure it's a lot easier, making sure that user flow is very seamless. But I think something else that we've been kind of, and maybe this little alpha tease kind of here. We've been getting a lot of requests for is notifications, right? Like people have been asking,
Mhm.
like, okay, I want to know when things have been bought. I want to know when we get bids on
Yeah.
my assets and that kind of stuff. So those are two of the biggest pain points I would say right now. And we may have something for that coming out tomorrow. Hint, hint.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Let's get ready to retweet some tweets from Tensor accounts. And if there is anyone in the chat right now who don't follow Tensor, make sure you follow them because yeah, looks like we're gonna have some work to do and retweet some content. But like, okay, so it's interesting because like if people tell you, okay, it's too complicated, but your power user are using the app and they're making like more volume than like, yeah, it's basically like Pareto, right? Like it's 20, 80%, right? Who do you serve? What do you do? How do you decide to listen and implement or not that features instead of this one?
Yeah. So I think it really depends on what problem we're trying to solve. And I think like the biggest thing to take away from here is understanding what the actual pain point of the user is and not necessarily their suggestion. Right. Because
Mm.
a lot of users will basically say, hey, I want XYZ, or I think you guys should do XYZ. But if you take a minute to actually understand why do they want XYZ or what is the
Yeah.
actual problem, you actually find that there's a lot of intersection there, right? That more often than not, there's multiple users with that same problem. And if multiple people are having that problem, then it's probably an issue, right?
Yeah.
Versus just one person saying, "Hey, I want this." So that's one thing. And I think the other thing is like, yeah, if we have someone who does 10% of our daily volume who says, "Hey, I want XYZ," or "You guys took this button away and I want it back," I'm probably going to add it back, right? Like we want to
Yeah.
make sure that our users are happy, the people that are loyal, and it's not necessarily someone that does all of our volume, but someone who uses the platform every day, and someone's like
Mm.
who's seen all these iterations, like, "No, guys, I think you should have done it this way." And it's like, okay, why do you feel that way? Is there a valid reason that we should put this back? If so, then yes, we'll do that, right? So I think it's like we'll try things and we'll iterate pretty quickly, but we're not afraid to take a step back and be like, okay, yeah, maybe this wasn't for the best thing. But that doesn't mean we'll
Yeah.
just throw stuff out there either, right? We're trying to be pretty methodical in how we roll these things out.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And looks like you're doing some product development too, like in a way of like deciding which features go where. That's cool.
Definitely,
Yep.
definitely. And
Yeah.
I think Ilya has a really good eye for that. So hats off to him and like, really nailing down the front end and his whole product kind of point of view is
Mhm.
he's done a really good job with just the user journey. And I think we have a fair way to go. But he's done an amazing job with that.
No, no, and honestly, like yeah, like the technical team behind Tensor, it's like just one of like probably the best one on Solana because again, like Ilmoy like pushed like the last year, 2 years ago, like the stacking like GemWorks and stuff. Like, bro, I used that like every day for my previous project. It was crazy, man. And like I
No
was
way, that's
happy that
awesome.
this guy was here. But yeah, that's how I met Ilmoy because I needed some customer support when I wanted to have my hands dirty, like to develop like the stacking platform for the project. But like it was crazy. It was amazing to use and like to go deep into his code base and like see him on Twitter, like they're getting the clout he deserves for that. That was fantastic.
Yep. And he's a self-taught dev too, which is
Yeah.
insane, right? Like he learned, I can't even remember how many years ago, but I think it was 3 or 4 years ago he taught himself, which is crazy to think about.
Yes. But yeah, no, like that's also like a sign of like high skill set again and like strong team and like passion also to build what you're building and starting from scratch to again where you are right now. It's crazy. It's amazing. I love it. That's why I'm doing this podcast, bro.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, like so, okay. So how the application from your point of view, like how Tensor is different from the competition? Like we go back to like probably like serving like the top users, but like is there any other features that you think it's gonna be it's a killer and like that makes all the difference?
Yeah, I think the fact that, and this is where Richard kind of shines and he steps in as well, is the fact that our product's real time and the fact that
Mm,
we offer a product that doesn't necessarily feel Web3 until you sign the transaction, right?
yeah.
Like when you come to our website, you're
Mm,
not gated by a wallet. You're not saying you have to log in. You can just see the data. You can do whatever you want. It's fast. It's flexible. You can customize it how you want. And then when you
mm,
sign the transaction, like, okay, yeah, shit, I'm on the blockchain, right? So I think
yeah.
like having someone who understands that data and how to do real-time data pipelines and just make the product feel very robust, and then you throw on that user experience, like it just adds a moat that you can't necessarily replicate other places. So it's like, yeah, Tensor itself is a liquidity protocol that anybody can build on top of, right? So anybody can
Yeah.
build their own UI, anybody can build their own marketplace on top of it. But when you combine that liquidity protocol with that Tensor front end, it's just like this massive kind of user experience that you
Mm.
know I think is just going to be really hard to replicate. And when you have that on mobile, when you have that on an XNFT, when you have all these kind of different things, and it's just this really, really nice, good to use product that's just fully integrated, I think
Mm.
that's where we really stand out.
I know 100%. And like again, like the fact that you have the protocol behind the front end, it's also a tool that gives you a leverage that other participants don't have, at least yet, but don't have at all.
Yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that we're leaning into a lot more right now as well is,
Mm.
getting people to actually integrate us and build on top of us. Like we don't want to be a closed off marketplace where our liquidity is our liquidity, right? We want other people to be able to tap into this, to be able to make those native integrations. And I think that's what'll make us sticky, right? That's what'll make the volume here last more than 1, 2, 3, 4 months is that when
Mm.
you have 5 different marketplaces, when you have in-app game stores and all that kind of stuff running on top of Tensor, that's when that really matters. And we're this protocol more than just like this one little marketplace vertical company, right? So yeah,
And what's the retention of the platform? Like, do you have the metric? Like between like the first wallet signature and like the maybe the last one or something?
yeah, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think it's between 20 to 30% right now.
That's
So
good. Okay.
obviously, like, yeah, we've seen a lot of kind of like peaks and troughs throughout this kind of period, just between the Mad Lads Min and just like all of these
Mm.
kind of like big kind of milestones that we hit. I don't have the exact numbers, but on average, yeah, we're retaining users about 20 to 30% of the time, which is pretty decent
Yeah,
considering
it's
the
not
type of platform that
bad.
we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, like again, it's hard for again like Magic Eden to like the stickiness on the marketplace when you are like a everyday user, like everyday user in a sense of like, okay, I'm just going to buy my NFT and I'm not trading a lot. Like, yeah, that's the use cases serve well with other platforms. So like there is no pain point to switch and I guess to jump on Tensor. But then if your volume increase, then you use Tensor. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah,
And
and I
that's
think like
fine.
finding those kind of like psychological, like why do people default to
Yeah.
XYZ, right? And changing that psychological behavior. So that's a lot
Mm,
of like what we're trying to do. And then I honestly think it's integrations, right? Like if we can
mm.
get other products to kind of use Tensor without you even realizing it, or use the blockchain without you even realizing it, right? Like that's how that growth actually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have like a Magic Eden UI like based on Tensor. So you serve both, but the protocol is Tensor behind it. That would be interesting.
Yeah, so we actually do have a light mode, and that's
Yeah.
actually because of that feedback. Was
Mm.
because like, hey guys, like the pro mode is just too much. Like, why don't you guys
Yeah.
have just a very simple, kind of easy to look at? It's like, okay, yeah, like
Mm.
maybe that does make sense.
No, no,
Yeah,
100%.
but
Makes
yeah, I
sense.
would love to see other marketplaces kind of use the Tensor liquidity and just have their own front end, maybe. Like that would be
Yeah.
really cool.
That's a bright idea, man. That's cool. And do you think there is enough like liquidity? I mean, in a bear market probably, but like enough room for multiple marketplace on Solana at least?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah.
like we've already kind of seen this with like Exchange Art and Hades. And like Hades
Yeah.
is purely an AMM, right? Exchange Art is purely on the one of one kind of niche kind of side. So I think like as we grow the pie, this is just going to become more and more of a thing. But yeah, I totally think that it's not just a winner take all kind of thing. It's like,
Okay.
and other people ask us about this, but I think we have opened up this floodgate, and it's like not just a one player market anymore, right? Like other people have a chance now, and we're trying to make that ecosystem open. Where
Mm.
yeah, it is competition for us at the end of the day, but we want it to be growing in the right places.
Mm.
And we don't want to be the gatekeeper per se. Like yeah, we control who can participate in this ecosystem, right? Because when we were trying to grow, that was kind of hindering us, and it was the worst thing to deal with, right? And
Yeah.
we don't want to be that barrier for other people.
That was crazy. I remember like a couple of tweets about that when you have like Magic Eden API issues and stuff like that. Crazy. It was crazy. I mean, it's yeah, it's fair competition because it's still a competition, right? But like, it was crazy on the timeline at that time.
Well, this was even before we launched a marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we were an aggregator to start, and
Mm.
we sat on top of, X number of marketplaces, and we were able to, you were able to perform market buys through Tensor to Magic Eden.
Mm.
And as soon as they realized that we could potentially be a threat, they pulled our API key, right? So it was like they forced our hand. It's like it's not even that we were going to launch a marketplace tomorrow, but it's like, okay, well, shit. Like if we don't, like all of our users basically left, right, overnight, because if you can't buy through Magic Eden, that's the only place that has liquidity. Then what are you doing on Tensor? Right.
Exactly.
So they pretty much forced our hand in launching a marketplace. It was like, okay, well, we have to have our own liquidity. Like, what else are we going to do? Right.
Yeah.
Because even if they give it back to us tomorrow, what happens in 2 months when they pull it again? We're going to lose all our users again. Right. So it's like, yeah, we were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and we had to make a decision. And, it ended up being the right decision, but it very well could have been the wrong one.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like every success is kind of like that. It's good because you survive, but like could have been going the wrong way too.
Yeah. Because that was, we had less than 1% of market share. And even when we launched our AMM, it took a long time for us to get any traction, right? Like Richard and Ilya shipped day in and day out. They shipped features. We were listening to users, right? And there was no traction. When I started, we had less than 4% market share, right? So it's, and this is in 3 months. No, I can't take credit for that, but like, it's been a team effort. But it's just like, the product has gotten so far in such a short amount of time, and it took a while for people to even notice, right? Yeah.
I mean, they needed growth. They hire you, and now you're growing. I mean, good job, bro.
It makes sense when you say it like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's been awesome, and it's honestly been a massive team effort. And I think like it was just the right stride at the right time. And a lot of it is luck, right? A lot of it is good timing, but a lot of it is just like a killer product that they just wouldn't let die, right? Like they just had a vision, and we all knew that like NFT financialization is going to be the next thing. And we're starting to see that now, right? The fact that you'll be able to have, marketplaces or lending protocols that like liquidate straight into Tensor, or other game marketplaces that build on top of Tensor, or things like that. Like that just wasn't possible before. And that is the ethos of Web3, right? Like that is what we're all here to build. So it's like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, then shit, like then we're going to do it.
Yeah. And what do you think like puts you on the roadmap, like for real?
Like what our next product release would be?
No, like what puts you on the map, not the roadmap, sorry, the map of like everyone on Solana. I say, okay, now Tensor is the next big thing. We need to trade here because X, Y, Z. What was like the moment when it clicked for everyone?
Yeah, I think like, a lot of people get involved because of rewards or incentives, or they get involved because, okay, here's where the liquidity kind of goes. I think like once you get past like a certain point in liquidity, it's kind of like not a self-fulfilling prophecy where it just becomes a lot easier. It's like a floodgate that almost opens, right? Because you have this cold start problem of like, okay, yeah, you have users on the platform, but there's no liquidity to take from. And if you have liquidity on the platform, like if users aren't taking from it, then like, why is your liquidity sitting there? It's just stale liquidity. So I think like that was probably the biggest hump to get over. So I think like from like the 5% market share to probably like 15%, like it's enough volume to where you're still in the game, but it's not enough volume where people are like, yeah, we need to trade on Tensor, we're missing something. Yeah. But I think once you get over that point, then it's like, okay, yeah, if you're not looking at Tensor, you're actually missing a decent chunk of the market now, right? And that's a good problem to have for us, because like now people are forced to integrate us. They're forced to look at us. They're forced to kind of give us that time of day that we may necessarily not have gotten before. I think that's like what put us on the map per se. But I think like we haven't won or gotten to our goals or anything like that by any means. And I think like we're really here to stay when we have sticky liquidity that's 60, 70%, and we're consistent there. When we're more than 50%, and it's there's other reasons to come trade on Tensor than just buy this one JPEG. It's like we have all these other apps or other protocols that are working with us, right? So I think like when you have that liquidity, you have professional traders, you have all these different levels of kind of flow coming through the app. That's when that is actually going to be sticky and when we're here to stay, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's cool. And like, how do you stay at the top and make sure you stay at the top and you don't become like the next Magic Eden who get disrupted by Tensor?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very valid question, right? Like we've gotten here by shipping fast and being iterative and listening to feedback and listening to users. And that will get harder as we scale. But I don't think that we can ever stray away from that, right? Like that is the ethos of why we're here. And on the flip side is like also being a community player, right? Like working with all these other ecosystem partners, trying to develop partnerships with bigger kind of people who are here for the right reasons. I think like all of those things all add into it. But yeah, I think like in an industry that moves as fast as crypto, you have to be on your toes, right? Because in 6 months, the landscape could look completely different.
Exactly.
And that's why I don't even want to say that like we're the number one marketplace right now, or we're here for the long haul, or like we are here for the long haul, but like we're going to be number one forever kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we just don't know what it's going to look like in 6 months. Shit, I don't know what it's going to look like next month, right? So I think we just have to be careful and we have to be on our toes and keep making the right calls and the right decisions. But as long as we do that, I think we have a good chance at staying where we are.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of happening with like a lot of like startup who become corporate with like 100 employees, 200,000 of employees, and then they get disrupted because they start doing meetings every Monday about what they're gonna do on Tuesday, you know, and like small team, small team of like 10 people in the room are going way faster and achieve way more than this big corporate that just produce nothing anymore. It's just that's just the ghost of what they were like 6 months ago. But at least
100%.
they have comfy office. So yeah, don't grow to 100 employees.
No, yeah, I think we're definitely trying to stay on the lean side and just trying to find the right people to grow. So I think we're pretty careful about that. But definitely, that's a very good point.
And especially in the bear market, right? Because you never know when we're gonna do like 10 million Solana volume on NFT, right? Again.
Yep. Exactly.
And basically, like, how will you survive in this condition? Because what do you have the number of like the minimum of volume you need to do on Tensor to like be break even or like sustainable?
In terms of like our cost for Tensor itself?
Yeah, or like for to not saying, okay, next week we can make the payment.
Sure. Yeah. So we actually did raise our seed round. We raised 3 million from placeholder and a few other angels and stuff. Thank you. So that actually gives us at least 2 years runway. Cool. So we do have, money for 2 years in the bank. We are actually a profitable business as well. So we do earn money off of our trading fees and we are profitable. So yeah, we do have a decent runway. We're not in any crunch for cash. We're not actually using a big, portion of our treasury right now because we are cash flow positive. So yeah, I think we're in a really good position in terms of, we don't need to make a big raise just to survive or just to pay the bills, or we can still hire, we can still operate, we can pay our overhead and still be net positive. So I think we're in a really good position.
Nice, that's cool. And when the bull market will come back, you can continue to grow based on the volume of. That's tricky because then when it stops, then you have to take another side. You have to take decisions too. So yeah, it's good. Bro, like marketplace dynamics, it's crazy complicated.
Yeah, it definitely is, right? And like even myself, like every time I looked at marketplaces or done case studies, it was more from a trader. It's like, okay, how do I exploit this? How do I make money off of this? Like, what cannot do? And then when I'm thinking about it as from Tensor's point of view, it's like, okay, like who's going to try to take advantage of this? Why are they going to try to exploit it? It's like the whole flip side. It's like, okay, what would I have done in their shoes? So it's a very different kind of thinking here. And it's interesting because it's like every day is a new challenge.
And okay, so let's play this exercise. Like if you wanted to launch a Tensor competition, what would you do right now?
If I wanted to launch a Tensor competitor right now, honestly, like it would probably be a similar playbook to what we ran, right? Like it would be like, get to know your core users, get to know where you have core product market fit, and try not to take on the whole segment, right? Find your niche and stick to it. And then when you get to that and you figure out, okay, I actually have a place here, then you can kind of start experimenting in other ways. But I think like, starting small, starting agile. I don't know where the hell you're going to be able to replicate Richard and Ilya, but like, if you can find 2 of them, that would help too. But yeah.
And they don't have Ilmo and Richard again. It's not possible. Anyway, they're fucked.
Exactly.
So yeah, in the chat, if you hear that, he gave you like the blueprint to grow, but you don't have the guys to do it. So yeah, fuck off. But like again, so the community building, like how do you do that? There's also like a question in the chat. Sorry, when Tensor coin from Bank.
Yeah, I can't really talk about that for legal reasons.
No way.
I can't really talk about a token or coin. I'm sure you've never heard that one before. But Tensorian NFTs, those are coming soon.
Ooh. Yeah, because with the airdrop and stuff, right? Like with the season. Yes, nice. That's cool. And so,
I was going to say, so the little alpha leak here, I guess, is that the actual boxes themselves will be tradable. So when we do actually, there's a special reason we haven't made them tradable yet, but we're going to be kind of trying something out for the first time. And when those are tradable, you're going to have like a whole rarity dynamic there, and then you can open them, and then you'll kind of get to the whole Tensor and NFT part of it. So I think it's a cool little gamification aspect we're throwing in.
Nice. That's exciting. I mean, like it's everything that gonna put like some salt and pepper, like to some excitement on the timeline. That's dope, man.
Definitely.
Yeah. Tensorian pixel art style, yeah, maybe. Because right now, like the whole timeline is all about shitcoin and stuff, right? Do you think it's like there is a play for NFT marketplace into trading those kind of shitcoin, or not really? And do you think it's even benefit from the NFT ecosystem?
Yeah. So I think like we've gotten asked this before, and we've definitely looked into it. It's like, okay, like, yeah, would you want to trade NFTs and coins side by side on a Tensor platform? And I think like in theory, it sounds great, right? Like in terms of like,
Yeah.
this is the same interface I would want to use, but there's so many like little marginal differences and so many like back end changes that you have to do. It just doesn't really make sense from our point of view in terms of like, yeah, there's going to be that many users who actually come to Tensor just to do this, right?
Yeah.
So I think it just didn't make sense from a business point of view for us to do it. But I think like in theory, like, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I also think that the DeFi ecosystem on Solana needs to be kind of repaired and rebuilt. And I think like I'm really excited to see that, because it's not just DeFi or NFTs. It's not one or the other. It's like they do go hand in hand. And I think you can have a really robust ecosystem where that DeFi money flows to NFTs and back and forth. And if and when that happens, you will get these cycles of, the coins run for a little bit and then the NFTs run for a little bit and wire quiet, which is perfectly normal and fine. I think like what's not great for the market is like when you have just a bunch of shit coins launching that just rug, right? Because then you're just pulling liquidity and it's just like this PvP environment. So I think like, some of what we saw is like, yeah, you're just kind of pulling liquidity out of the market, and like it's really just all of us. Like, who really is coming into the market right now? It's just like you and me and like 5 other people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, all the liquidity is going in a circle, and then somebody rugs, and then it leaves the ecosystem. So it's like it's not really net positive. But it's like if we had a robust DeFi ecosystem, which I think a lot of people are working on right now, and I'm really excited for some of the stuff coming out, then yeah, I think it would be a net positive for NFTs and vice versa.
Yeah, because I think like right now, like we have like what, like 5,000 seller and 2,000 buyers or something like that. It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. And it's just like, these are the times where we need to be working on like actual innovative stuff, not like PvP shitcoin trading, like, it's just a circle, like really, like realistically, like, where is this money going? It's not putting any value creation or anything like that. And, yeah, I used to do the same thing. So yeah, anyways.
Yeah, it's not going in my pocket. Like right now, like I'm sitting on my end, I do nothing. I'm just focusing on content and stuff, and like dev for like Decod3rs. But yeah, trading NFT or shitcoin, I don't want even to touch shitcoin at all. Not like my preference. And NFT, yeah, like except a couple of like high ranking, like a big collection and stuff. I don't touch it a lot. I don't know what you do every day, but like it's sitting on my head right now.
Yeah, no. My day-to-day in terms of like the trading side of it has definitely gotten a lot slower. I don't want to be buying trading stuff as often as I was in a bull market, right? Like I think anybody kind of knows that for sure.
At least you get more sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
And like even on Tensor, like how do you manage like the discoverability of the collection on the homepage? Because obviously you're gonna highlight like the biggest collection that drive the most volume. But is there a world where there is enough room for like mid-tier project that be highlighted and like increase their volume because of that features? I don't know exactly how it will work, but like imagine that. And or is it because like just the top 10, top 20 project are the most robust and the more interesting for everyone, and basically 80% of the NFT market is trash anyway, so there is no reason to highlight those projects.
Sure. Yeah, no. So I think that's actually something that we've been trying to do more actively as well. Is we don't charge for marketing. We don't like ask people to be like, you can only trade on Tensor. But basically, what we're trying to do is, as new projects kind of mint, as they have events, they can basically reach out to us, and we do the secondary market partnership where we try to highlight them. So we put up the banner on our front page. We'll do the trading multiplier to put like 1.25x points for a week. And so we're trying to get them eyes and kind of, get our active users looking at projects that are here for the right reasons. And I think like what we try to do is it doesn't have to be something that's going to be, this next big kind of Mad Lads, right? But obviously, if there is going to be the next big Mad Lads, we want to be, we want to be talking to them, we want to be working with them and seeing how we can highlight them. But we also want to highlight people that are here for the right reasons, right? That are just here, good creators who have a good reputation. So I think that's something that we're already actively doing, and we want to basically just uplift the ecosystem, right? So we're not going to charge people $5,000-$10,000 to just have a banner on our front page. I think like it is a very manual process in terms of like either Shake and I will vet them, we'll kind of talk to them on a call, and then we'll kind of see how we can kind of work with them. But so it's not going to be like infinitely scalable where we can feature, every new project that comes out, but we are trying to, do our part in highlighting the people that are here for the right reasons and kind of giving back in that way.
That's interesting. Okay. So like the other side of that is like will be like even like the discussion about royalties. Like, is having not royalties help the project to get traded more, or like kind of wash trade anyway? So then you increase the volume and like collection increase that volume, and then they get like more discoverability too. Or like the royalty from your perspective, or even I don't know if you have a take as a Tensor growth lead, but even like personally, like the royalties should be part of the NFT stories.
Yeah. So I can answer this in kind of two parts. So like Tensor's point of view from, as a marketplace, when we talk to creators, if you're not enforcing royalties, right, then we basically you're saying that you're foregoing the royalties, right? So we're going to put it optional. So if people want to pay royalties to you, they can, right? That's the option on our platform. If you enforce royalties, if you enforce PNFTs, then we obviously respect that. We'll put it at whatever rate that you set, and we'll enforce that, right? So we have no opinion on how you should go about it. I think like from a personal point of view, like how I view things and how I talk to projects about this is like, at the end of the day, like your royalty percentage is definitely going to increase your volume or decrease your volume or affect the spread on the market of your project, just because you're basically putting in an implied fee, right? So if you put a 10% fee, that's definitely going to impact the way that trades over a 2% fee, right? I think that's just kind of natural economics there. So I think like there's definitely a fine balance. We've seen the norm kind of come down from 10% kind of royalties to 5% royalties. Personally, I think if you can have an all-in fee that includes marketplace royalties, all of that of 3 to 4%, that's where you really see kind of peak trading, or that's where you find a good optimal balance. Obviously, when you have a zero royalty collection, you get a lot more royalty, or you get a lot more turnover, you get a lot more volume. But we do still charge a 1% fee. So it's not like these things are just being wash traded back and forth just to kind of make them popular, which is an issue we saw in the past, right? When there was no marketplace fees and no royalties. So I think there's still an incentive to not just completely wash trade, but there's a fine line on like, this volume does ultimately lead to more tension or more turnover, which then leads to more royalties versus just adding 1% upfront, right? So I think like my personal view is that royalties are decent because projects that are actually doing things and providing value, they do need an income stream past, just minting one project. Unless they're going to mint 4, 5, 6 projects, they're not going to have that kind of sustainable cash flow. So I think royalties are good for that aspect. But I think that if you structure them correctly, you can still have a healthy market with royalties.
Yeah, no, 100%. I like personally, like I think that like the royalties is like the part of the intrinsic features of the NFT, because you can explain to someone who is outside of like Web3 that it's art and you have royalties to the artist for perpetuity, right? If you take that apart, like we're just trading like Panini cards now on the internet.
No, and that's a great point as well, right? Like this is a massive way to attract actual creators and people to try crypto for the first time, just in general, right? And if you just strip that away, then it's just another data standard, which that's fine, but this is a massive traction for sure.
Without royalty, we lose like so much interest from the outside world, I think. Even like for creators and stuff, but and it was a fucking race to the bottom. I had that. It doesn't make sense. Like when you saw the tweet like back then, we're like, 0%, blah blah blah. Like did you never read any book about price war that basically you can't really win, because if that's the only point you have in your product, you have already lost. It was fucking crazy. But now we're back to enforced royalties and stuff. So at least we get that.
Exactly. Right. And it's like same thing's going to happen all over again if a new standard comes up and a new kind of sector becomes popular. So it's like we have to kind of make those steps to kind of have that foresight now.
Can't wait. oh no, we canceled the unforced royalties. Let's go. Yeah, 0%. Yeah, okay, we're gonna lose another 6 months. Let's go. Yeah, life.
That it is.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So and what's the business model of Tensor right now? Like you have a fees on the marketplace and that's it, or are you looking for to open more and more avenue for revenue?
Yeah, I think like the number one goal for us is to grow our secondary marketplace and to grow the spot volume, right? Like
Okay.
we're a cash flow positive business. We don't need to extract value in every single little way, right? We think that if we actually grow the pie in the right ways and not just completely extract value as much as we can, that it'll ultimately lead to a bigger net positive for us, right? So our current business model is we take a 1% fee in all the trades that happen on our platform when you're a taker. So if you market buy or market sell, you pay a 1% fee. If you provide liquidity, so if you list or bid on NFTs, then you don't pay any fees.
Yeah.
So basically on every transaction, there's a 1% fee, and that's how we make money. We don't charge for marketing. Like I said, we're not going to go into a subscription model for our data services or anything like that. But that is the main way that we make money.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And bro, like with what you said just right now, like it could be applied to coins and token like right away. Like you're right. Like NFTFi and like DeFi and coins are like so close right now because we fractionalize NFTs and then you can take loans on those fractionalized NFTs and then like you have 1% of a lot of like your Klano and you have 1 pixel ownership of your Klano. That's fun.
No, exactly right. Like
Yeah.
I think DeFi and NFTFi are just going to kind of grow more and more together.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see like what comes out in the next 6 months in that kind of area.
I can't wait to see a leverage 500 on an asset that can go from 100 floor price to 500 or 3 because there is an announcement that didn't go into the right direction. That's gonna be fun, man.
Definitely.
Yeah. And by the way, like, why UPFP is a Kleno? What do you like about the project?
Oh, I just honestly like the team is awesome, and I
Yeah.
just have this childhood soft spot for dinosaurs. So I just love the dinos, and it's just I found this one, it just fit, It felt like the right thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, yeah, I'm looking at it since like 40 minutes now. I love it, man. I need to jump into Kleno.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, okay. So Evan, like, what's your favorite project right now on Solana?
Probably Planos.
Let's go.
That's probably a no-brainer, but no, I think like Planosaurus is doing some really cool things. I think Backpack is doing some really cool things. I'm really excited to see where that whole kind of meta goes. I think that like with XNFTs, compressed NFTs, there's something that's starting to kind of bubble here. So we want to be on the forefront of that. We want to push the boundaries forward. And I think that like if XNFTs are going to be the next big thing, like Armani has the tool set, he has the skills to kind of provide the developer kind of tooling. It would be a really, really cool thing and kind of set us apart from, and this is a long time gone from the Ethereum kind of copy paste narrative that we've had, but like something like that, where it's something that's completely unique that can happen only on Solana, that whole kind of thing, right? Like, I think that's what I'm really excited for. And whatever project that can do that, whether it's Clanosaur's onboarding a ton of ETH people, whether it's Backpack with XNFTs, whether it's Dialect and their smart messages, right? Like, I'm really excited about a lot of those things that are just finding unique ways to, put their own spin on NFTs and onboard users.
Yeah. And like, is there a future where Tensor is going crushing?
Yeah, I think like people have asked us about this a lot, and especially when we were raising money, it's like, okay, well, are you guys leaving Solana? Are you guys pivoting to ETH? I think there is a future where we explore that. I think like the number one thing is like we're where we are today because of two reasons, and it's because of the community and the user base, right? So like unless like it made sense to, and there was actually another chain that could do everything that we do here, I don't think it's really in the question. But like if you really think about it right now, like if you took our product and put it on Ethereum, it just doesn't feel the same, right? It just feels clunky. It's not kind of as smooth. And there's no other market that you could take it to. And even if there was, it's like, well, then do we leave? Right? Like we're here for a reason. We built it on Solana. Like, does it make any sense to go somewhere else and abandon Solana? I'm not saying that we would abandon Solana, but even just expand to another chain, right? Like, it's just like not a very good business decision in our point of view, especially like where we are right now. Talk to me in a couple of years and it may be a different conversation, but it's just like not something that we're even thinking about right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the user experience will be completely different on if with Tensor, that's for sure. But like, I was thinking about that. Like, if there is a way to get back to put back the transaction on if, like, via an oracle or something, and like do the transaction on Solana, and then you have like you send it back, but with a batch or something in the background to ETH to validate it, but it's also validated on Solana. Maybe there is something to do, but that's my developer mind. I need to talk to Ilmoy.
Yeah, no. I think like Wormhole is doing some really cool stuff there, right?
Yeah.
Like with the Wormhole bridge and be able to bridge NFTs back and
Mm.
forth. So I think like there's a future where, and maybe this comes from the NFT Fi, right? Where like, they bridge some stuff over from Ethereum, or you even have ordinals that end up on Solana, right? Like, could you imagine that? Like, that'd be pretty crazy.
That would be
So I
insane,
think
bro.
like there's some really cool stuff that could happen on that end.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know that like we would take Tensor and clone it on ETH tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like not something that we're looking forward to doing or like even planning on doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not like taking the code base, replacing Solana with ETH, and that's it. Not working
And
like
yeah, and
that.
look, yeah, and look, we could do it, right? It's not that we couldn't
Yeah.
do it. Like Richard Elmoy could knock it out in a couple of months. I'm not worried about that.
2 weeks,
But
2
it's just
weeks,
like
2
it's
weeks.
just yeah, yeah. Well, shit. Let's say a couple of months. We under promise over deliver. But
Exactly.
yeah, it doesn't make sense from like
Yeah, no, 100%.
how the product feels from the business point of view, like where
Mm.
our users are. It's like, are our users going to even be the same? Are we even going to have the same traction on Ethereum? Like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah.
And so it's like we would rather double down on Solana and see Solana become the number one chain and be the people that we kind of push, or be the forefront of pushing other people and kind of building that ecosystem than just kind of
Mhm.
hopping around to the next ecosystem as it becomes hot. So yeah, I think we're here for the long haul. We see the promise of what Solana can do and what NFTs can do, and we want to be the ones
Mm.
who kind of push that forward.
And so where do you see Solana in like 6 months to next bull run?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think like one of the least talked about chains from like CT, but like when you talk to retail users and they're like, oh yeah, I've been doing this and this and this and I'm doing it on my phone, is like Binance Smart Chain, right? Because it's so easy. They've done a really good job with the mobile wallets.
Yeah.
But if you talk to anybody serious in crypto, it's like, well, I'm not using Binance Smart Chain, or it's not even like a serious thing
Mm.
for like scalability. So I think Solana really has that point of view, or that kind of that angle where they can say, okay, yeah, we can do something that's fast enough. We can do something that's cheap enough. We can get into the
Mm.
mobile hardwares, which I think they're trying to do with Solana Mobile. So I think like if we can really nail down that user experience and using the
Yeah.
blockchain and not feel so clunky, or you're not having to use this MetaMask EVM kind of wallet kind of thing. I think that's when I get really excited. And it's like, okay, yeah,
Mm.
now we actually have a new wave of people who aren't just here to speculate and trade shitcoins around in a circle, right?
Yeah.
Or to trade the same NFT back and forth. So I think that's what I'm really excited about. It's like, the XNFT, the compression, the
Mm.
Solana mobile. It's like whatever can bring that next kind of sector of users over is just going to start this whole new wave of
Mm.
a domino effect of innovation and just people trying things.
Yeah. I could be tricky. I see that, but like, there is a shit ton of startup in Web2 that are like have the best products, but like they don't get traction for XYZ reason, right? I think the price of Solana need to go back to 50 to get sexy again and having the narrative on our side, right? Because again, like when we went from like Solana is sexy if I tell you, okay, so we went to $30 to 250 in like 3 months. Maybe you should invest into Solana. But when I tell you, okay, so we went to 250 to $8 in 2 weeks, like the narrative is not the same, right?
Sure.
So there is also that, and I agree with you. Like the user experience, everything. Like we are the fucking iPhone of blockchain, right? Like the user experience is the smoothest you can have. Like bro, like when I fucking migrate my Decod and use to Polygon and stuff, and I paid like $2 on Polygon for fucking transaction of freaking hundred of dollars just to unstack a Decod. Fuck off, man.
Yeah.
So we
No,
have the tech,
exactly.
etc. But like, yeah, Solana need to go back to a lot, at least 50, maybe 100, to get sexy again and like get highs on it. But in the next bull run, we can also see Solana Chain too, right? Because you had a lot of good projects in 2017 that are coin market cap 2000 right now. So it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be tricky. If we have a Tensor,
no, I definitely think there's a big
fucked.
narrative problem. Yeah. I definitely think there's a big narrative problem with Solana, right? Like the fact that, you see all these airdrops happening on Ethereum. You see that like Solana puts a lot of time and effort into the developer side of things, which is, I think, why we are where we are, but maybe not as much into the social media side as other foundations and stuff do, right? So I think it's a double-edged sword, but it's like, yeah, if we, and maybe this needs to be a community thing, but like maybe if we can come together and build that narrative or be the reason that like, people start looking at, and this is all of our kind of problems or all of our kind of, issue to solve is, Klenos, us, individuals, is like, how do we get people to realize, and it starts with, just Ethereum people, right? Like, how do we get people to realize that this is a robust ecosystem, that EVM isn't the only way? And then we move on to the retail kind of users, right? Like something I'm super bullish on is like Dialect, because if you think about what they're going to be doing, and Drip as well, is they're going to be basically giving people 10s, 20, 30 NFTs, and they're not even going to realize they're NFTs, right? And they're going to be able to tradable for $1 or whatever it is, or you'll be able to, drop thousands of kind of NFTs to someone over the lifetime of them having an account with Drip, and it's all different content, right? These are, at the end of the day, just content delivery networks. That's right. True. And when you have people kind of like trading these things back and forth, or they just get these assets like, oh yeah, I'm ripping packs, and like they have that fun experience, like you don't need to be a hardcore crypto user to understand that. Yeah. Right.
Makes sense, man. Those topics are fascinating. Like it, and it's all about growth and acquisition and stuff. It's so cool, man. But I don't want to take all of your time, and like it's already 55. So I have one word. The show needs to be under 1 hour because you're busy.
I appreciate it.
So in the audience on the YouTube chat, if you have any question on Twitter Space too, if you have any question, raise your hand right now, because we are going to wrap up everything in a couple of minutes. So if you have any question from Ting, that's time to shine now. So so I have just 2 questions that I ask to all of my guests to wrap up the show. What's the question that people you wish people ask you, but they never do?
Oh, that's a good one. I think like a lot of people want to understand, or like just want to know when we're going to roll out our rewards, but don't really ask about like why we're doing things the way that we do. So I think like if people understood the reason that we're rolling things out the way that we are, it would answer a lot of people's question. And it's not that we're hiding it for any specific reason, but I think people are always asking like when, not like why are you guys doing this, or why are these things happening? So I think that's something always interesting.
Bro, we need an episode 2. Just on that question.
Now you're like, damn, why didn't I ask that?
Fuck. That's a great question, and that's the whole purpose of this podcast, right? Like the goal is like to interview people like you to understand the mindset of like behind the creators, behind collection, project, etc., and to understand like how they build and like how do they think to achieve that. So hopefully we answered this why, and if not, episode 2 next week. Let's go.
Definitely.
And who should be the next guest? And can you make the intro? And you can say Inmon because he's busy.
No, I think the Dialect guys are really cool. More than happy to make an intro there. I think that like they look at things from a very different point of view, where it's like we always have this joke whenever I talk to them. It's like gateway stickers. And it's like, if you can get stickers in the hands of all of these people that like, holy shit, these are actual NFTs, but they're stickers. It's like everybody loves stickers. I think they're doing something really cool where it's like you're going to be able to sign or transact for messages as soon as things like people send you a message. It's like, okay, hey, do you want to buy this from Tensor? And you can just click it there and just buy it, right? So I think Dialect is just one of those really cool use cases that if it catches on and they get product market fit, they get users, it's just going to be like insane.
Yeah, see, VP, I love Dialect. That could be, bro, like, okay, so I never understand the use of stickers in Dialect. It's just like, what the fuck, what am I going to do with that? Because I have Discord and I have Telegram. But now that you say it's fucking NFTs, bro.
Yeah, I mean, imagine like you have all your like Discord Nitro Pepe. Oh yeah, I totally faded this for the longest time, and I fucked up as well. But like, imagine you have all your favorite Discord Nitro Pepes, right? And you're like, holy shit, I need the 10th one, and you just go out and spend $1 and buy it, like instead of paying $20 a month for Nitro, you can just own that sticker for $1 or $2 or whatever it is. And then imagine the whole collectability aspect that comes with it too, right? It's like you have 9 and you need that 10th rare one, and you're like, holy shit, like I need that one, right? Like all my friends are throwing it around. It's the big group chat joke, but I don't have it, right?
Shit. Okay, I need to go back to dialect. No.
Right?
VP, can you send me back an invite link, please? Yeah, see, I told you dialect was bomb. Fuck, I fucked up. I fucked up so bad.
Yeah, dude, I faded this for the longest time. Like I definitely didn't collect the sticker packs when I should have. And now I'm just like waiting till trading goes live, and I'm just gonna buy as many as I can because
Oh
like,
my
yeah, I promised that.
Okay. I need to reinstall dialect tonight. It's happening. Thank you for your recommendation, bro. I owe you one.
No worries. No worries.
If I get
Yeah,
some
more than happy to
stickers
make
that
an
you don't
intro
have, I
too.
will send you one.
Definitely.
But anyway, man, thank you so much. That was a great first conversation and first interaction even with you. I think we talked in the space once, but I'm not even sure, but maybe. And if not, it was a great, a great pleasure to have you on the channel. Really happy, and you can come back here whenever you want. This is your place now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much, and I really appreciate you having me on. And like all the questions were awesome. So anytime you guys want to chat again, more than happy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, in a couple of months, like if you have any announcement or stuff like that, we can do it here and invite Hilmoy and Richard, because at some point they will have nothing to do and they will be able to relax.
We'll see if we get to that point. I feel like it's a never-ending day. But
yeah, we're gonna reach like 1 million sold volume, and they can sit back a bit. Evan, they want to reach 2 million anyway. Whatever.
Nope.
But anyway, man, thank you so much. Thank you everyone who jumped on the YouTube chat, YouTube stream, Twitter space. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe on the channel if you haven't done it yet. I will send you a Discord invite for Decod3rs, so I will give you a shit ton of whitelist. And in a couple of days, I will send you the thumbnail of this stream, because we are doing that.
Let's go.
Again, thanks, man. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the next stream. Bye-bye, everyone.